When I was in high school, I remember my teacher always told me there is a difference between knowing and understanding. You're not going to do very well in life if you just know things, but you will do well if you understand things. I wasn't quite sure what he meant back then. But recently I stumbled on this clip of Richard Feynman saying something similar, which reminded me of the teacher. Feynman said there are two types of knowledge, namely knowing the name of something and knowing something. Knowing just the name of something is superficial knowledge. For example, just because you know the name of this thing, that doesn't mean you understand how it works. On the other hand, knowing something means you understand it. That's real knowledge. Having real knowledge means you know how it works. So how do you go from superficial knowledge to real knowledge? When it comes to learning, I like to think in terms of inputs and outputs. Inputs as the information we receive, whereas outputs as the information we create, or what we synthesize. In other words, input is a passive form of learning, whereas output is an active form of learning. Both of them are important for effective learning. I think many people tend to focus only on input when they try to learn something new. For example, let's say you want to learn statistics. What most people would do first is to get some input, like reading a bunch of textbooks and taking some online courses, which is important. However, this alone doesn't lead to deep understanding in my experience. Input will be wasted if you don't make any output from the information you received. So how do we make output? The Feynman technique, which is a famous studying method, is one of the best ways to increase your output. You probably know this already, but the Feynman technique goes like this. When you learn a new concept, try to explain the concept using plain words. If you can't explain it well, that means you don't understand it well yet. And go back to review your inputs again. I usually do this process by writing, instead of talking. Whenever I learn a new concept, I create a flashcard. Then I try to explain it in my own words. If I can't write well, I review my inputs to understand the parts I couldn't write well. I use Rome Research for this, but you might also love RemNote, which is another great note-taking app. Anyway, the point of this exercise is really just to test yourself. As Songharan says in his book How to Take Smart Notes, we can only improve our learning if we test ourselves on our progress. And the Feynman technique, whether it's talking or writing, is the most efficient way to test yourself. In summary, I think an effective learning process consists of two parts, inputs and outputs. Many people tend to focus only on input, but what's more important in my experience is output. The best way to increase your output is the Feynman technique, where you try to explain the concept in plain words. By doing so, you can test your knowledge, which will help you gain a deep understanding. So the next time you study, don't forget to take some time for output, where you write about what you learned. How long does it take for you to schedule a meeting or meetup with your friends? Usually scheduling a Zoom call or meetup takes a long time because you have to text everyone to check their available date. After a few rounds of texting, finally you can decide on time. But with Woven, you can skip this whole time-consuming process. All you have to do to schedule a meeting is just send your colleagues or friends a link to your Woven calendar, where they can see your available time and pick a time that works for them. Once they pick the time, Woven automatically creates an event in your calendar and sends out the invitational email. If you hate scheduling like me because it takes so much time, I think you're going to love Woven. You can download it for free from the link in the description. Thanks for watching till the end. Don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter where I share my favorite books, articles, apps and more. Thanks, bye!